I'm Dr. Mori Hayashida, the Executive Director for the Research Institute of Human Movement. I'm joined by James Kiffey, who recently finished a career at UCSB in soccer and is pursuing a professional career now. James, thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thank you.
James, we're in a conversation with different people, really trying to tell stories of how movement has affected their life in good ways and in perhaps some negative ways. So if you would just share a little bit about yourself, tell us your story, particularly as we've talked already about your career in soccer up to this point.
Okay. So I grew up in Santa Barbara, played soccer, basketball. Pretty much all free time is spent playing different sports. And then I was lucky enough to walk on at UCSB. And after playing at City College for a year, and I had 2 seasons of starting, and was lucky enough to get drafted by the Earthquakes. And then as far as injuries go, I was pretty healthy through high school, and then a couple injuries in college, and then I've spent the rest of the time, kind of limping around on one foot.
Tell me more about the injuries that got you to that point.
So these are things that, is a learning process. I definitely, I thought nothing of them. I was stepped on at City College, and this is the first real injury I had other than minor sprained ankles and things. So I broke 2 bones in my foot and had a stress fracture as well. And I played the rest of the season on it, which, looking back, was my first really big mistake.
Why do you say that? What was the mistake, or what do you, in hindsight, looking back on it, what did that?
My experiences, and after going through physical therapy, I wasn't running normal, and so I was babying one side or overcompensating with my. That was on my right side. Okay. I was overcompensating with my left. So, and a lot of this is the blame for these things is on me because, I'd be in the athletic training room for a little bit, and then I wouldn't show up as soon as it wasn't hurting.
So pain was driving your attendance to it.
Right, rather than, preventative healing.
Yeah. When you say preventative, just because I think that's something of interest for the Institute, this organization is, again, I suppose it's in a bit of hindsight looking back now that you have learned things about your body and the way it works after these injuries. But what is preventative to you when you say that? If you were to do something different, maybe go back in time and.
You can't have imbalances in your body and expect to perform. So maybe my shin doesn't hurt for one day, but that doesn't mean there isn't some imbalance in my body, whether my hips are out of alignment. If one of my glutes is firing and one of them isn't, then if my right glute isn't firing, which seems to be the big issue, it's going to affect all the muscles in my lower leg.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be overcompensating with my calf, with my shin.
So the cause and effect, understanding cause and effect. One of the objectives for RIME is doing research and adding to the knowledge base that clinicians use to make decisions about how to treat movement-related problems. There's some good research, but there's a lot of gaps still too, and a lot we don't know for sure yet how your ankle connects to your hip and your back, influences your ankle and so forth. So in your experience, if looking back over your time, what do you know now, if anything, that you wish you had known even before you had any injuries? Maybe take yourself back to high school or even before then. Is there anything about how you manage your body now or treat your body now that you wish you'd known earlier?
Yeah, I think especially if I was going to give myself advice, the high school me, I'd say, rather than overtraining, you should be spending just as much time doing, your stretching. And I think with the injuries at City College, once you start getting pain that isn't, impact induces just from running and it's on one side, there's no reason to keep playing. I played through a ton of injuries, and I think that just kind of exacerbated the problems. So I think don't play injured unless it's something that, because I didn't listen to the athletic trainers all the time. But it's really your long-term health is at stake. It's not just my soccer career I'm worried about. It's that I have imbalances in my body. How long is it before there's something more serious? So you have this body for your whole life, and you gotta. The most important thing is making sure you have balance.
Yeah, we all move, and we assume that we're just going to learn how to do that well throughout life, and we really never get taught it. It just sort of happens, and I think at this stage we're trying to figure out if there are some things as a society we can do to prevent, as you said, prevent these movement-related injuries. So, well, James, thanks for taking the time to be with us. It's, I think, beneficial for a lot of people to hear your story, and I think a lot of people will relate to that. So,
yeah, well, thanks for having me.
Thanks for the interview. Yeah.